Hey everyone, Jack Keeper here, and today we're going to install Garuda Barebones KDE. And so this is going to be kind of cool because we're going to try to do two different things. First of all, we're going to install the Barebones edition, and then after that I'm going to attempt to update to Plasma 5.21, which has just been released 24 hours ago as of the time of this video, which was February 16th, 2021. And today's the 17th, so it's been about 24 hours, and I'm not even sure if the Plasma 5.21 is even in the AUR yet, or in the repositories. So that's something that we're going to attempt when I get there. So that ought to be fun too. And if we get the 5.21 Plasma, we'll explore the new features, because I think you're really going to like them, especially if you love the Plasma desktop and the KDE experience. Right now I am at the GarudaLinux.org downloads page, and I am down at the bottom of the page here where it says advanced users only. Wow, sounds kind of ominous, huh? So we got Garuda Linux Barebones, and it says here that Garuda Linux Barebones is made for users who do not want extra software and functionalities and complain about bloat. And a lot of people do complain about that. I've seen that. It contains only the bare minimum of packages needed to get started. You're on your own. We don't provide any support for Barebones editions. So they make it pretty clear right up front that this is more for the guy that likes to tinker. And I guess I kind of fall in that category. I mean, I was always the kid that would take apart my gadgets and look inside and see what made them work. I was always taking the backs off of my radios and tape recorders and all that stuff, and kind of seeing what made them work. And then, you know, that just kind of carried on to when I got older. If you're that kind of person that likes to kind of dig into things, you're probably somebody that likes to install Arch right from scratch, the traditional Arch way, like you would do on the Arch Wiki, the way it's laid out. And that's a lot of fun, actually, you know, for somebody like me. And this, to me, looks like kind of a compromise, something that gives you a little bit of a head start. So maybe you're ready to get in there and just kind of to mess with a system like Arch, but maybe you don't want to start from scratch yet. So this looks like something where the Garuda team has come up with some Arch Linux scripts to get you started. And it looks like here that it probably just has the very basics to get you a desktop. So let's download it and see what's up with it. So I'm going to go over here to the Barebones KDE edition, and I'm going to go ahead and get this torrent. And then after I download the torrent, I'm going to load it into a virtual machine, and I'll be right back. Okay, and I'm back. So I'm going to jump up here and load my virtual Virt Manager and bring this up. And I'm in my XFCE desktop right now because I was having some latency issues. This is my test image here that I just kind of used to test different desktops and see what's going on with them. So I'm going to just go ahead and open this guy. And then I'm going to go into my settings here and just kind of check everything. First of all, I want to load it into my CD-ROM. So I'm going to go in here and browse over to Downloads. And I am going to grab, where is it? Barebones. Here we go. So we want this guy. I'm going to go ahead and choose that volume. Then I'm going to go to my boot options after I save my settings, of course. Okay, so I got my CD-ROM already at the top here. Then I'm just going to double check my display settings. So we got our Spice server running Vertio with 3D acceleration. I better make sure that the, okay, yeah, I don't want OpenGL unless I'm running Cinnamon. But for KDE, it wouldn't look good, actually, for some reason. At least not in the virtual environment. Okay, let's go ahead and boot this up. So I'm going to hit power on here and switch over to my display. And here we have our Barebones boot menu. So I'm going to go ahead and boot right in. And now we'll get to see the desktop here with the Barebones This is the Soaring edition, if I remember right. Okay, we're into our desktop. First of all, I think I'm going to go ahead and just bump my resolution up here so we don't have this big giant black border everywhere. So I'm going to hit my display configuration here, and we're going to go up to 1920 by 1080 and apply that baby. There we go. Okay, that's better. Now we're at a full screen. So here's our environment, our live environment here. And if we just jump up, we probably don't see much of anything. So yeah, we got our development. So yeah, pretty basic here, I would say. Have our Garuda welcome. So let's go ahead and install this guy and see what it's like. So I'm going ahead, and looks like we got the Calamares installer as usual. So I'm just going to go ahead and go through all these steps. By default, it's really auto-detecting everything. So it's got my time zone auto-detected. And then I'm going to go ahead and replace a partition. Actually, let's erase the disk because it doesn't want to replace it because there's information already on there. And by default, it's showing no swap. That's probably because we're using a relatively small drive, 40 gigs. It's a virtual drive, of course, so that's probably why it's saying that, because a swap file is probably going to be around maybe 8 gigs or so. Swap with Hibernate is 8.8. But a swap to file, yeah, that would be more dynamic. So I guess we'll just do that. Let's go with a swap to file. Why not? Instead of a partition. So let's go ahead and with our name. And then we'll give it a password. And so then we'll just use the same password for administrator account and hit next and install. And I also notice it's using the ButterFS file system, so that's great too. Love it. So I'll be back right after the install. Now we're back, and I'm going to go ahead and hit done. And instead of checking the Restart Now button, I'm just going to hit done, and then I'm going to shut it down. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I need to remove the CD. So I'm going to go ahead and hit shut down. All right, so I'm just going to jump in here. Just going to go into my boot options actually, and I'll just uncheck that. There we go. Very good. So apply. Jump back to my display and then hit play, and we'll boot back in to our Garuda Barebones KDE install. Okay, well that was a fast boot up. Let's go ahead and log in. And I'll probably need to go ahead and set my resolution again, so I'll just do that real quick. And then we'll be full screen. Speaking of full screen. So we got our welcome screen here, and it looks like it's asking us to start to the setup assistant. So yeah, that sounds like a good idea. First, real quick, I'm going to go ahead and set my display settings back again to 1920 by 1080. Now that we've got it installed, I won't have to do this again after any reboots, of course, because we're no longer in the live version. I'm going to go ahead and apply that. Very good. Okay, more civilized. Now we are in our bare bones setup. So before I run that setup assistant, let's just take a real quick look at what's in here. So under development, we just got our nothing really, icon browser and feedback. So really just looking bare bones. Image viewer, okay, that's good. Internet, nothing but a server browser and VNC, SSH and VNC. So yeah, the essentials, very good. Multimedia, again, really essentials. And then of course our settings here that have been kind of set up. So yeah, really. And then we have Alacrity here, terminal. So it's got the basic terminal using Alacrity We have Dolphin, of course, so the file manager is in place, HTOP, and our console as well. So it looks like we really have all our essentials for a desktop. I guess I didn't hit that. Let's do HTOP again. All right, and see where we're at. Wow, 618. And I'm in a virtual environment, so that is pretty impressive right off the bat for our Plasma desktop. Very cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and run the Setup Assistant. And let's go ahead and get a recent mirror list. And here it looks like it's running Reflector Simple, which is a GUI front end for Reflector, which allows us to get our mirrors. So let's go with the defaults there, United States, with HTTPS. No mirrors found. Okay. I would say that maybe we need to, let's quit that. Let's go ahead and update the system. I think that'll probably maybe update the mirrors, because it's probably going to do a Pac-Man SYU probably. So let's see what happens. And I think we'll go with yes on that. Okay, and let's see what's in here. I want to see real quick if the Plasma Desktop 5, yeah, it's still showing the 5.20. So apparently it hasn't propagated yet into the repositories. That's okay. We'll check the AUR after this install or this update and see if we can't find it in there. All right, so we'll go ahead and let this update run. And while that's updating, I'm going to just kind of jump over here and see if I missed anything. Utilities. Let's see what's in there as our basic. Firmware, emoji selector, and an archive tool. Yeah, so this is pretty cool. I really like how it is pretty much a clean desktop. So you can kind of customize pretty much to the way you want it. Since that's updating, let's jump into our system settings and kind of build out our configuration a little bit while we're here. So if we go into our, let's see, let's check our kernel out real quick. Okay, so we're running the latest kernel, it looks like 5.10.4. Let's go to appearance. So right now, it looks like by default we have Breeze and Breeze Dark. Cool, and here we can get new global themes, so let's take a look at something. One thing I like to do when I'm in here is I like to sort things by highest rated first. Just to see what has the best ratings. And look at that, Sweet is right there in the #1 spot. Even has a Windows 10 type theme there for you fans of the Windows look. Chrome OS, well, yeah, some nice stuff here. I think I'm going to go with Sweet again. I really like the Sweet theme. So I'll just go ahead and hit that Sweet KDE. We'll just install that. One eternity later. What? Wow, that's really taken a while. Oh, okay. Looks like we need to authorize this. I don't know why that was taking so long. Maybe it's just hanging because we're in a virtual environment using up a lot of resources or something. Not sure. Huh. Might have just got a bad connection. Okay, finally we got our Sweet theme. Nice. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit that and apply. Cool. All right. So there we go. Yeah, that's looking sweet. No wonder they call it Sweet. All right, and then our Plasma style, we're in Sweet by default. Application styles, all has our basic stuff here. So I think that's all good. And Windows decoration right now is in the Sweet style here. That's why we have the 3 dots up there, kind of Mac-ish looking. If you like the more traditional kind, like a Breeze look, this is where you would change the top part here. So if I was going to hit breeze, then you get this. And I think for now I'll just kind of leave it at that. And so yeah, I like the colors. I think they're cool. You know, the purplish highlighting. So I'm going to kind of stay with that. These are our font settings. All good. Our icon themes, and Candy Icons was installed, I think, along with the Suite theme. So that's what we're running now, is the Candy Icons, which I think look great. Just gonna hang with those. And here's our cursors. We got the Suite cursors and our spinner. So yeah, nice. Very good. Let's go to Workspace Behavior. One thing I like is Wobbly Windows, but I don't know if I can really enable that in a virtual environment, at least not in my virtual environment. But let's take a look. We got accessories, boom, zoom, appearance. So it would be under here, yeah. Not seeing the wobbly windows. That means that the video in this environment, the virtual environment, won't support it. The reason I know that is because you can come up here to filter and hit that, and then if you uncheck exclude unsupported effects, you can see all the effects, even the ones that it don't support. So if I uncheck that, we can go down here and we see all these extra ones now. All these things that we didn't see before. So here's Wobbly Windows, and if I check that, it's not really going to do anything. And I hit apply. Nothing. Here's a video. It's kind of neat that you can see video demos of this stuff. So this is what Wobbly Windows looks like if you're not familiar. Nice. Okay. So I'll jump out of there and we'll just move on. Start up and shut down. So here is our login screen. And right now we're probably at the Suite default, yeah, which is here, which is pretty nice. I like the Suite login theme. Just in case, though, I'll just hit apply anyway. And then our auto start, this is where we auto start, put our programs in that we want to start up at startup. Start up at startup. And a splash screen. And typically I like no splash screen. It looks like it's got the Suite one there, and we can play it to see what it looks like. And so that's kind of what happens just before you see your desktop after you log in. I'm just going to click. So that's another feature I like in KDE, is that you get these little previews for things like this, like the splash screen. And then of course we got our usual, our regional settings, accessibility, applications, online accounts that you can configure, network connections. Looks like all that is working by default. I'm going to go under input devices real quick and turn on our numlock, because I like having the numlock activated at startup. So I'm going to hit apply. And then everything else is good. So we're going to jump back out of there. Another thing is back up here under, I think it's Workspace Behavior, under General. I'm going to set our click behavior to double click. Otherwise applications are going to open with one click. So I'm just going to go with the traditional double click to open files. So we're going to do that. So that's another thing I typically do when installing a new KDE install. And it looks like the update is finally finished. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. Now it's asking me if I want to upgrade to Ultimate. And I'm going to say yes to this, because by saying yes, then it's going to allow us to add all the different apps, or at least most of the different apps that we would typically want to install. So I'm going to go ahead and hit yes. And then CJK font support. Sure, why not? Printers, scanner, and Samba. Sure, why not? And additional Garuda wallpapers. That's always a fun thing. Can never have too many wallpapers. Enhanced image integration for FWUpd support. Why not? You never know when you're going to use app images. Actually, I do. So let's go ahead with additional KDE components and applications. Maybe it'll even upgrade to the 5.21, but probably not. I think I'm going to do that manually. So LibreFresh Office Suite is the first choice here. I'm going to go ahead and uncheck that and go with WPS Office. It's got a lot of different choices though, pretty nice. And LibreOffice Fresh is not a bad choice either, actually. So I'm going to hit OK. And what extra browsers? LibreWolf. Yeah, that looks cool. Let me do LibreWolf and maybe Chromium. And now here's some extra kernels we can add in to choose from, like our LTS kernel, which is good. Zen is another one. If this was a live machine, I'd probably add that in there too, just to have that option. And then don't need Telegram, so I'm going to uncheck that. I'll put Zoom in there. I don't really use it at the moment, but just for the fun of it. Here we can choose our email client. By default, we have Thunderbird. I don't really use email clients typically, so I'm just going to uncheck that. And then here's our audio players, Strawberry Player. Not too familiar with that. I'll go ahead and leave that checked. And then we have Audacity. I typically install that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And then here's some games, Super Tux Car, Minecraft. I'm going to go ahead and check that. And we got Steam and Lutris. So if you're like serious into gaming and you want to put Lutris in there too with Steam, then that would be a typical one to check too. Okay, video software. Kdenlive, which is an excellent editor, but I don't use Kden, so I'm going to uncheck that. And I'm going to go with Shotcut. So that's good. And OBS Studio, that's another staple of mine. And VLC. So we'll go with that. And then in GIMP, graphic software, I would typically install GIMP, of course. DigiCam's a nice photo management app. Really like that. It'll also read the files off your iPhone. I forgot the extension. You know, they have that funky extension. Is escaping me right now. I'm going to go with Inkscape and Blender. And Pencil and Synfig are really nice animation programs. And Darktable is really excellent. Okay, so we'll hit Next. And then we'll go with Hypnotic and Shortwave. It's a TV and a radio app. We can put a CD burning app in there. Hit OK. And here's our development apps, Qt Creator and Visual Studio Code. Right off the bat, that's something I would check. So that's nice to see that by default. And I think that's pretty good for me. And our virtualization software, since I'm in a virtual environment, I'm not really going to check one of these, but typically I would choose Virt Manager. And I believe when you check that box, it's going to install everything that Virt Manager needs, which would be Virt Manager, KVM, let's see, Virt Manager, QEMU probably, and libvirt. Virt Manager is kind of the front end for that. Gnomebox is another front end for the QEMU, which is pretty good, but not quite as feature rich as Virt Manager. So that's one I would go with. Or if you're partial to VirtualBox, you can check that guy right there. Or none of them. I'm going to do none because I'm in a virtual environment. Okay, so now it's asking for optional dependencies. Auto-detecting printer driver, yeah, I'll go with that. And then for OBS Studio, Intel driver, I'm running an Intel card, so I'll go with that. Dependencies for VLC. And I don't know what that is, but I'll check it anyway. And then audio filters for Shotcut, sure. And then some Inkscape dependencies that you can add, options, import clip art, sure. Well, why not? Most of those I would never use, really, probably. Simple Scan, yeah, I guess we could throw that in there. That's for scanner support. For Kate, you can add in some extra language support, it looks like, Python and Rust. for Ocular, Moby Pocket, that's kind of cool. CHM, sure, why not? And some GIMP dependencies. Maybe some Guten, that might be handy. Cycle for Blender. So we'll go ahead with the A2DP profile. KDE Connect, which I don't typically use. Samba folder sharing. Yeah, why not? And the config tool, yeah, we'll go with that. Minecraft launcher, narrator support. Cool. QuickTime format, yeah. I can use that, actually. And that's for Visual Studio Code. Don't really need that, but why not? And then KRDC, free RDP, yeah, RDP is definitely good. And I would probably go with VNC if you use VNC. And here's our WPS Office. Typically I don't check anything there because it gives me trouble. Plasma Vault. I think I'm okay there for this video. Pulse Audio. PyCom's nice. These are Zoom dependencies, by the way. PyCom's good if you're having some screen tearing issues sometimes. Looks like maybe screen sharing has issues too sometimes. I don't think being in a KDE environment that would be an issue though. And for Qt Creator, I would go with GDB Debugger. That's something we would need anyway if we were going to install like Lazarus. So I'm going to go with that. Text to speech for LibreWolf. Why not? Kippy plugins, Chromium stuff, WebRTC. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Don't think I'd ever use it, but neat to know that that's there. So we got to the end of the list. I'm going to go ahead and authorize. And we'll let this install. And it's probably not going to install the 5. So we'll let this install and get our new software. This will be cool. Now it's asking if we want a Java runtime. Yeah, okay. All right, now it's got a summary of all the things it's going to install here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit apply. Okay, now we're going to get all this stuff installed. And after that, then I'm going to try to manually install KDE 5.21, the desktop. So that'll be cool, hopefully. One of the new significant features in KDE 5.21 is that the menu has changed. So right now we're looking at this, the standard menu setup here. And actually if you go down here and go to show alternatives, you can get other menu choices, usually. Oh yeah, that's right. We're in a bare bones install, so those choices probably aren't actually in there by default. So this is kind of the one. But anyways, this menu is probably going to change in the new 5.21. So kind of excited to see what that's going to be like too. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and let all the software install, and then I'll be right back after the install is finished. Okay, it looks like we finished, finally. Well, that took a while. I think about 45 minutes, give or take. Your results will vary, of course. So let's go ahead and close this. And looks like it needs a authentication, so I'll go ahead and hit that. Okay, and I'll just say no to removing the setup assistant in case I want to use it again someday. All right, cool and groovy. So now we're back at our welcome screen, and I'm going to jump in here and see what's new. Well, actually just verify that our stuff installed, so I'll just take a quick look. Oh yeah, look at all that under development. Got our Qt Creator, Code OSS, and a bunch of additional things. Nice, got my arcade and Minecraft launcher. And there's our browsers, Chromium, LibreWolf. So it's already starting to look like a pretty nice install already. Nice, okay. So I would say our apps went in without a hitch. I'm going to go ahead and close out of the settings manager. So first of all, after all that and doing the update and everything else, let's do a quick restart just to make sure everything activates properly. So I'm going to go in here and just do a restart. And I'm going to pause for just a second, and I'll be back right after the restart. Okay, we've gone ahead and restarted, so I'm just going to log in real quick. That should let everything take effect, and there's that splash screen that we set before. Okay, excellent. So now we're back in, all restarted. The background even changed. Nice. I didn't even mess with the background actually. And check this out. Our menu is different. Wow, it looks like we upgraded to 5.21. Yay! So I didn't have to manually install it. That's great. So that's the first thing I noticed right off the bat. We got a new menu. And so let's check out this menu. I noticed right away it changes with a hover on the mouse, and I like that. I really prefer hovering over a category and having the categories change, have the app show up over here instead of having to click all the time, because on the other menu you always had to click to see what was inside. So very nice. And I see we got an update there for new additional language packages available. Nice to know. But already we got a different look right off the bat. So let's explore this a little bit. Let's see if the search feature is working too, actually. So, yep, okay. So do Chromium and we get our results right up. So just kind of wanted to make sure that was actually working as well. And that is. So all applications. So now we have an all applications menu here, and it looks like they're all in alphabetical order. We're going A, B, C. So that's kind of different. That's pretty cool. And let's see what our options are up here under the application launcher configuration. Here we can go ahead and change our icon, switch tabs on hover, sort always alphabetically. So yeah, pretty cool. Show favorites in a grid and a list, power and sessions. Okay, so those are our options. I guess I would switch the icon since we have a new thing here. Let's see what's under start. Yeah, so we got some pretty cool icons for the start menu. Wow, even have different distro like SUSE there, Ubuntu, an Arch, a Debian, Fedora, and not quite sure what that is. Oh, Garuda, okay. Yeah, it did recognize the obvious. Neat. So we could even put an Arch one up there if you just want an Arch looking. Let's hit the Garuda and hit apply. Nice. Okay. Very cool. Switch tabs on hover. What is that exactly? Oh, down here I think. Okay. Applications, places. Yeah, I love it. So they still have the categories and I just hit something by mistake. Okay. And it looks like I went into a reboot. I'll have to see what I hit. Okay, I'm back in and my heater's about to come on, so I'm going to have to pause this, but yeah, I have to see what I did. Sleep. Either I hit sleep or restart. Shouldn't go directly into a restart. Okay, so it wasn't that. Okay, yeah, so we don't want to hit sleep. At least not in this VM. On a regular hardware desktop, it's probably fine, but you want to note that when you hit sleep, it doesn't ask you if you want to go to sleep, it just goes directly to sleep. That's a good thing to kind of be aware of. And then of course we got to restart and shut down and leave here. So our two tabs are applications and places. So I can just click over here and then see our places. and then back to applications. Or in our settings, if you like the hover, you can switch tabs on hover, hit apply, then when you come over, then you can simply hover between the two and it'll switch automatically. So that's another hover feature that you can add in there. And so then we have our favorites. Our favorites are in a grid setup right now, which can also be changed in your settings, but I like the grid look here in the favorites. That's pretty cool. The all applications, I think that's okay that they're in alphabetical order. I think it would be cool if they had a category option too, where you could maybe select categories or alphabetical order. That'll probably be something they'll add in time there, but really not a big deal. I mean, I think alphabetical order is fine anyway, and just use the search if you need to find something quick anyway. So it's probably a moot point pretty much, because I can go in here and just find my console, and there it is. Might as well bring that up, by the way. And so anyways, our console is showing. So right now, 785 megs of memory. That's not bad. Not bad at all, especially after installing all that stuff. Very cool. So I'm loving this menu. It's got a really great look. Nice. Let's see what else might be different. Let's jump into our settings. Yes. Highlight change settings. If we hit this button here, it'll highlight everything that we have changed so far, which, if you remember right, we were changing in appearance, workspace behavior, even shortcuts. I wonder what I changed in there. Okay, maybe the installs of the applications, or maybe I was just poking around in there and just forgot about it. But that's really cool that you can kind of look and see what was changed recently. Very cool. I like that. I can see where that would come in handy a lot. So some changes if we go up here in our system settings. If we go under appearance, first thing you'll notice is Breeze Twilight. So Breeze Twilight is a new addition. Previously we had by default Oxygen, Breeze, and Breeze Dark. And if you remember right, Breeze was a light theme, and when you used the Breeze light theme, you had the light bar and the light menu and all that, traditional light. And with the dark, of course, you had the opposite with the dark bar and dark menu. And of course, if you open Dolphin, you have the dark backgrounds, and so it's all the way dark. Now with Breeze Twilight, you get a compromise between the two, which is pretty cool. So now we have a light background, which is what I like, but we have the dark bar and the dark menu. This is a really nice addition. I really like the Breeze Twilight addition in there, having the dark menu, dark bar, and the light backgrounds up here. So that fits in perfectly with my own taste. So even if I weren't to sweetify it, the Breeze Twilight just kind of covers everything. Very cool. I love it. Yes, a definite plus there. Very cool. Oh, by the way, if we go over here in our menu and we go into our system settings, there is also another, here we have KSysGuard. If we open this guy up, you're probably familiar with KSysGuard, something that you can use to check your system load and your running processes and all that. But now you also have something called System Monitor, which is going to be the successor to KSysGuard. And so this has a whole different look. It has a lot of cool features that you didn't have before. To get this before, you had to go and get the widgets online and just kind of have it all separate. But now we got an open window here that shows our overview of everything. At a glance, you got memory disk and CPU usage right off the bat. And then here we can see our applications. Really cool. And so we can go per app and just kind of look at them this way. We can have a detailed sidebar so we can look at the details on each one. Nice. History window. And that can be handy if you're trying to troubleshoot something. And then our processes. All the different processes that are running out there in the background and foreground and everywhere else. And then up here we can even filter how we want to look at our processes. Own process, user processes, system, or all. So that is really cool. This is something I think I'm going to really like. And these are our different views. And you can even add a new page. Not really quite sure how that works yet, because I'm too new at this right now. And it closed. So let's restart that app. Okay, so there's our blank page. And so I guess if you know what to do with it, you can go in here and make this page and have it correlate to something. But like I said, I'm too new at this, so I don't know exactly. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that page. Stuff it in the trash. All right. Very cool. So what I think you can do with those pages, and I'm just kind of guessing, but you can probably, for example, take KSysGuard or one of these apps and create a page specifically for that app that's running or process. Like I said, I don't know how you would use this, but I'm guessing that it has something to do with that, and then somehow you go in there and you would add in your information. So anyways, that's kind of the gist. I think it has something to do with that, and I could be totally wrong. All right, that was neat. Those are the obvious features that I know about so far, and there's probably more that I haven't caught. The other thing to note is the Plasma team has said that Wayland is much better supported now. So if you're running Wayland, and it seems that they've fixed a ton of problems and a lot of bug fixes overall. Also in KRunner, there was a problem with, I think it was the history in KRunner. I'm going to bring that up real quick. I'm going to hit Alt space. And here we have a couple of things in history. And apparently in the Wayland version, they weren't showing up, and now they will in Wayland. So that was another thing that was resolved. Virtual keyboard support is improved, and apparently now it works with GTK applications. Much better. Yes, those are some things that I can think of off the top of my head. And there's probably more. So I got to tell you, first of all, I think the 5.21 is a fantastic improvement, just from what I'm seeing right now. I believe the devs have also said that 5.21 is snappier and more responsive, in addition to being much better Wayland support. Maybe Wayland is kind of coming to age within 5.21. So I think this is really great, and I am just loving this menu. This menu is something that really works for me. I think that is just too cool. So the menu, I give it a double thumbs up. Definitely, for sure. And this release, this KDE Barebones, really great. I mean, I gotta tell you, it's really a great distro. I really like the idea that, you got in here, it's very lightweight, and I almost feel like that I built it from scratch. Even though really minimal pre-configuration. They put in all the essentials, and then we just built from here, and even that was pretty effortless because the setup assistant just kind of kicked in, and I just picked up all the stuff that I normally install anyway. And then anything beyond that, of course, I would just simply use the App Store or the console. Personally, I like using Yay or Pac-Man. Of course, you got the Visual Pack Manager too, which I think is in there. Yeah. I mean, anything beyond this we could install perfectly on our own. Oh yeah, and another thing is that 5.21 also offers mixed support for monitors, which is kind of cool, like refresh support. So for example, if you're running dual monitors, you could have one running at 60 Hz refresh and another one running at something else. Like I think the example on the website was 144. So you could have one running at 60 and one running at 144 Hz. So yes, that's kind of cool for some situation that I can't imagine at the moment, but that's really neat to know it's there. I like that. Really wonderful. And you know, the amazing thing is, with all the compositing and the great effects and everything you get in KDE, I think it's actually using less than in my XFCE desktop, which is pretty wild. Let me do an HTOP real quick. Just with all this stuff open that I got right now, we're at right about a gig idling with these other things here. And so I'm pretty sure on my other desktop I would be way over that. Okay, so in a virtual environment with all that stuff closed, I'm back down to about 906. And I think on a hardware machine I would probably be even lower than that. So I'm going to F10 out of here real quick. Blink, back to my console. And you know, one thing I didn't even look at was the backgrounds. Configure desktop wallpaper. Just kind of curious what backgrounds we get. Wow, check this out. So yeah, I'm about ready to wrap this up, but I just had to take a look at the backgrounds. And it looks like we got a lot of KDE backgrounds here, and Cold Ripple. Sounds like something Fred Sanford used to drink. Cold Ripple. Nice backgrounds, wow. Yeah, a lot to choose from. And personally, I like backgrounds that aren't too busy. Yeah, that's a cool one. Wow, yes. So, very good selection here. Really like this. There's a lot to choose from. This is more than I've seen actually in the other bins of Garuda. There's the classic one I typically open up. So this time when it said, do you want to add extra wallpaper, it wasn't kidding. In the past I didn't really notice much of a difference, but now I see a lot here. Very impressive. Okay, so backgrounds, another big plus. So in a way this was kind of a dual review. A review on the Garuda Barebones install and a Plasma 5.21, since 5.21 just came out yesterday, literally, and just propagated into the repositories and AUR probably today worldwide. You know, it takes a while for it to propagate. So Plasma Shell 5.21, double thumbs up. I'm loving it so far. Nothing has exploded, at least up until this point. And I'm loving this Barebones install. You know, I think the Barebones for me is really the way to go. I really love the Barebones install. I know it's not for everybody. You do got to be a little bit of a DIY kind of person that likes to get in and mess with things, but you don't have to be that much, because really you did get it done for you configuration of an Arch Linux install with a desktop environment and basic configurations off the top, and a few essential, like your console and so forth. So, you know, you did get the basic groundwork, and then you got to pick and choose everything that you wanted to have afterwards. And even that was just stupid simple, because you got this Garuda Setup Assistant and you could just run through that and give yourself even more base applications that you could use at your disposal. And everything in that Setup Assistant were things that I usually set up as kind of a base for myself anyway. And then from there, you know, I install my extras like Lazarus, Programming, IDE, and stuff like that. Unfortunately, I only have 2 thumbs. Otherwise, since we have kind of 2 dual reviews here, I should be putting up 4 thumbs. So I'll have to do it separately, like I just did. 2 thumbs up for Plasma 5.21 and 2 thumbs up for Barebones Spin of Garuda. So yes, this is really great. Something that I'm actually really excited about. I'm excited about the 5.21 and the idea of having a quick, I think it took me all of 5 minutes to install this Barebones setup. And I think in the future when I set up for KDE, or less likely GNOME, I am definitely going to go with the Barebones. I really like it. So unless I want the Dragonized experience right off the bat, the KDE Barebones really is a fantastic choice. And with that, I want to thank Raphael for his suggestion on the KDE Barebones. I had actually been thinking about it earlier, and when Raphael came on and mentioned about the Barebones install, that kind of validated for me that what I was thinking was right on track. So I wasn't the only one that was a little curious about it. And honestly, I almost just passed up on the idea until Raphael came along. So thanks, Raphael. You're a good guy. I appreciate it. I hope you liked the video. Or even if you didn't like it, give me a thumbs up. I would definitely appreciate it. It really helps. And don't forget to hit that subscribe. Thanks again for watching. See you in the next video.